Hey, what's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Caron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
Hey, it's KRISTINA, and I'm here to tell you about Hotcast for Podcasting. We are a podcasting studio located in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Hot 702.5 FM studios. You can book online at hot7025fm.com. Just click on Hotcast. You can book and find your times right there. Thank you for booking with Hotcast for Podcasting.
Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Jones, hey, Greg Deville was at it, man, hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville, he'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville, he'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in, we here to help. Now tune in, we here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in, we here to help. Now tune in, we here to help.
Hello. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am taking over for Greg Deville today with the Deville Realty Show. My name is KRISTINA Graham, and I'm a mortgage broker. Greg and we've been partnering together for over 8 years. He wasn't able to make the show, but we don't stop. We continue moving forward in order to still relay information out to the community. So Greg and we've been, like I said, we've been working together. I'm a mortgage broker here in Nevada. I have over 9 years of experience. So I have been doing this for a very, very long time. And Greg, he asked me to join the show just to kind of talk about a few key things that he feels that his audience needs to hear. So today's discussion, what we're going to be talking about is really breaking down the home buying process, right? Everybody sees it as this big process, and it's really not as complicated as a lot of people might think. So I want to break down that process for you just so that you can have a better understanding as to what does the home buying process actually entail, right? So breaking down the process, I'm going to debunk a lot of misconceptions in the marketplace. Do we need 20% in order to have do we need 20% down payment in order to purchase a home? Do we need a 750 FICO in order for us to be eligible and get approval? Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to debunk some of these myths that are still roaming around out here. And I want to make sure that you guys are informed, especially when we're looking at purchasing or doing one of the largest purchases of many Americans' life. So debunking common misconceptions, current homeownership trends in the United States and Nevada. I brought some percentages and some statistics here for you guys as well, so that way you can kind of see where are you in the mix when it comes towards home ownership trends, whether you're a homeowner or not, and also why millennials aren't buying, or are they? Let's take a look at that. We're going to take a deeper dive and answering just some common homebuyer questions. So I prepared some questions as well, and I'm on my Facebook Live. So as you guys kind of tune in, let me know if there's any questions that you guys just have about the buying process in general that you've just been dying to know about, or just, something general. I'm here for you. I prepared a few questions as well. So I've been in the business, like I said, 9 years. So some of there are common questions that come in quite frequently that I'm just going to address here. And lastly, the top reasons why people are buying homes. So it's interesting to see, as I was doing a little bit of research, depending on where you were born, so what generation are you actually a part of, you have different reasons as to why you want to purchase your home. And I feel like what is our true why and our purpose, and what's really dictating our motivations in order to purchase a home? I feel like those things are super, super important, and we have to hone in on that. So I just want to break some of those things down. If you guys do want to call in, or just want maybe a one-on-one session with myself or Greg Deville, I would love to hear from you. We are about relationship building, right? So this isn't just, hey, you call in, we do an application. We're building lifelong partnerships with our clients and relationships. So if you guys have any questions, you want a one-on-one session, even if it's not even to buy a house right this very moment, you just have some questions in general, please reach out to us. The phone number is 725-307-5454, 725-307-5454. And also today, I am actually giving a home buyer packet. So this packet, it will include some of the items that I'm going to go over today. But if you text that same number, just your first, your last name, and your email, I will email you my home buyer packet. It has everything in there that you could possibly think of. And if you think of something else or have questions on it, reach out to me. I want to be that confidant in the mortgage space for you. And Greg Deville, he's going to be your real estate expert. So again, that phone number is 725-307-5454. And if you guys just reach out to us, first and last name, send me your email, I will send you that home buyer's packet. So our first topic for today is going to be the step-by-step guide for a home buying process. So I'm going to condense this process a bit, but if you reach out to me, we can tailor make this process specifically for you. One of the first things, and I get a lot of apprehension about this from home buyers, is that I don't want to sit down with the KRISTINA just because, I don't know what I don't know. And I think that's sometimes silly, because we're not here to judge you. We're not here to make any conclusions about you or your financial history, but we just want to be able to help you and put you in a position in order to buy, because ultimately that's your goal. So sitting down with me is going to be a very crucial part of the home buying process, because one, it's going to allow us to see exactly where you're at with your credit, how much purchasing power are you going to be eligible for, and then you're going to really know what your mortgage payment is and how much money is expected of you at closing. So these are going to be very pertinent things that we need to know up front. And this application is only going to be as good as the information that you need, the mortgage loan officer, right? If there are things that are missing on the action, or things that you felt unnecessary to tell me at the beginning, and then we get into contract further along in the process and things come up, right, then I'm not going to be able to have foreshadowing in the process as to what might the underwriter condition us for. So the more transparent you are with me on the application, the better it is, and the smoother the process is long term, right? So what we'll do, we'll sit down face-to-face over the phone, or I can send you the link to do the application online. But we got to collect your information, your first, your last name, your date of birth, your job history for 2 years. And I want to talk about job history. So a lot of people think that, oh, if I haven't been on my current job for 2 years, then I can't buy a house. And that's just not true, right? So what we're looking at is we want to make sure that you have been working for 2 years, not specifically on that job for 2 years, right? So if you've been in the same line of work, you've been a sound engineer for 2 years, and maybe we switched companies and now you're starting again at another company, but you haven't been at that specific job for 2 years, that's okay. We can still issue an approval for you. That wouldn't be a deterrent or a reason for denial. We're also looking at your debt to income ratio. So that's basically how much money are you bringing in every month from your employer against your debts. So what debts are we actually looking at? It's not going to be your electric bill or anything like that. We don't care about those ones, or your rent. You're going to vacate that property in order, or the rental, in order to live in your current home. What we're looking at is just all the debts that show up on your credit report. Okay. So whatever debt, if it's student loans, if it's personal loans, auto loans, we're looking at that debt. So it's going to be your income against your debt as reported on your credit. And then we're also going to add in that new mortgage payment, right? Because that's also going to be a factor. And that debt to income ratio, that's going to help the lender determine approval, right? Whether we say yes or no. So depending on how high that debt to income ratio, that could determine a higher risk on the file. We might need some compensating factors, some additional assets sitting in your account. It just depends. But again, these are all things that we do upfront. Before you start shopping for your house, before you start making offers, we want to make sure that all the pieces are in place upfront before you go through the process. So that way there isn't any hiccups. Everything's smooth. I have 15-day closes, sometimes 10-day closes, because we did the work up front. So that's my message to home buyers is do your due diligence. Even if it's not me, that's okay. Go reach out to a loan officer, go get pre-approved, do the hard thing. Application, hard credit check, submitting all of your documentation. From there, then we're going to be able to issue a pre-approval, and that is your golden ticket. Every realtor, the first thing they're going to ask you when you start wanting to shop for a house, do you have a pre-approval? Have you been pre-approved? Have you talked to a mortgage lender? If your answer is no, that's okay. Let's do that process first. So that way we know we have a smooth process. And also, you don't want to go out into the marketplace and begin shopping for a house and we're way over our affordability, right? Maybe our debt to income ratio doesn't align, or maybe, hey, I like that house. I can get approved for that house for $500,000, but I just don't like that payment. That payment is not going to be best suited for my needs and my budget. We talk about budget a lot when you're sitting down with me one-on-one. We talk about the mortgage payment. That's very important. What's your comfortability for your mortgage and affordability? And two, we talk about your cash to close, right? You want to make sure that you are properly equipped for when closing happens. You're going to send that money over to the title company in order for us to close on the transaction. So we talk about all the hard stuff up front. And then we get to the fun part, shopping for a home with Greg Deville. Okay. So let's do our due diligence on that. So application, getting pre-approved, and then also part of that cash to close. This is a common question that comes up is what monies or what's an acceptable source for my cash to close? So, of course, the obvious answer is going to be checking, savings accounts. Great. We can also use your stock, your investment portfolio. We can liquidate some of those assets as well for cash to close. We can also use a cash value within your life insurance policy. We can use that as cash to close as well. So these are all going to be acceptable sources. And those of you that are expecting an IRS refund, we can also use that in order for us to count that as an acceptable source. So if you're getting any monies from the IRS, that's perfectly fine, because in the description on your bank statement, it'll show IRS refund, and that's going to be an acceptable source for us to use as well. If you're getting any gift funds from family, there is very specific ways that I'd like for us to receive a gift fund. And it's generally the gift donor sending the money directly over to the title company. Okay. That's going to allow us just to get a gift letter from the donor and the wire receipt. If the gift donor sends you the money directly, the buyer, now I have to show donorability, right? I have to basically show, where did those monies come from? Came from the donor who sent it to you, and then you send it over to title. So in order for us to negate some of that paperwork, we can be strategic about how we're going to receive the gift. Okay. So you guys have any questions on that? We're kind of halfway through the buying process. So reach out to me, 725-307-5454. I would be happy to answer any questions for you there. And once we've completed the application process, we're pre-approved, we know where the money's coming from, now we can start the fun part. purchasing a house, right? You don't want to ever put the cart before the horse, right? You don't want to start shopping for the house and then go for the loan. Do things the proper way, and it's really going to mitigate any issues later on down the road. So you're searching for a house. You and the seller both make an offer on the home. You send your earnest money deposit over to the title company. And that basically means that, hey, I'm a serious buyer and I definitely want to purchase this house. So that's your collateral, right? The seller, his collateral is basically going to be the property itself. So from there, everything, you submit your earnest money deposit. Now it's time to get our home inspection and the appraisal. The inspector, the home inspection, that basically means he's going to go out there and check to make sure all the electrical outlets are working, the stove is running hot. We also want to make sure the AC is blowing cold. So he will do that for you. That's not something that the lender needs, but it is going to be pertinent for you to do that, because that's going to make sure that you're doing your due diligence on the property and making sure that the home is up to par. The lender, what we're going to need is your appraisal. We want to make sure that home that you're buying for $500,000 is worth $500,000. Okay, so we have to get an appraiser to go out to the property and assess the value of the home. And these are things that do need to happen fairly quickly in the process. And that's where having the right professionals behind you is really going to be imperative to make sure that we're successful in meeting all of our timelines. Because we have a certain timeline in order to order the appraisal, certain timeline in order to issue our approval. So we just want to make sure things are happening very timely. So when you're in this process, this is not going to be time to sleep at the wheel. We want to make sure we're keeping things going. I call you, my assistant calls you, you answer, we get things done within 24 hours. That's how we're able to get such fast turn times. And also, it doesn't create a cog in the wheel within the process itself. So we'll get home inspection, appraisal. Once all those things are in, the underwriter, they review the file. They spit out a set of conditions for us to issue that final approval. Then we go through it and I say, hey, Mr. Buyer, these are going to be the items that I need for final approval. So you guys go ahead and work with me and my assistant on that. You guys send in your items. And then from there, we're going to be in a position, once the appraisal comes back, to submit your file for a final approval with the underwriter. Once we get that final approval, now we're rocking and rolling. We're going to go over to the closing department. We're going to start preparing all of your final documents as well. And then from there, you get your last set of disclosures, and then you sign with the title company, your final set of documents, and you get the keys to your house. So I abbreviated that process. There's a lot of moving parts on the back end, but you as a home buyer, you won't know everything that goes on in the back end in order for us to make this come true. But your involvement is very, very, very imperative. So that's our home buying process. If you guys have any questions about the buying process, myself, Greg Deville, we're all here to support you. And again, I have a freebie, and it's going to be your home buyer packet. Right? So that packet, you guys, if you text me your name and your email at 725-307-5454, I will go ahead and email you that packet over. So the next topic here is going to be common misconceptions about the buying process, right? So I run into a lot of things where people will just tell me, oh, Kristina, I never knew that this was possible because ABC agent had told me otherwise, or my family member or my grandmother had told me something else when they bought a home 30 years ago. They thought that the reality of purchasing was much harder than what it actually is. So as much as I like when people come to me and they feel confident about coming to me with some of their concerns, it's just concerning in general that the community is just so underinformed about the buying process. So one of the misconceptions that I hear so frequently is that I need a 20% down payment in order for me to purchase a home. That is absolutely incorrect. If you or anybody that you know is stating that they need a 20% down payment, have them call me, reach out to me. This is something now that we can actually Google what's the minimum down payment required for a home loan. Google that And you'll come up with a bunch of different things. But you're hearing it first and foremost from a professional. I've been doing this for 9 years. You do not need a 20% down payment in order to purchase a house. Many loan programs, we can get you qualified with just a down payment as little as 3% up to 5% in some instances. And then for our veterans, there's no down payment. So that's a huge plus for them. So don't need a 20% down payment. If you're hearing that, tell a friend, tell a family member. That's absolutely not needed. And I need the next misconception is that I absolutely need perfect credit. So I need a 20% down payment and my credit has to be 750 and above in order for me to purchase. That is a misconception. No. You absolutely do not. I've helped homeowners purchase a home before with a 560 credit score on an FHA loan. So generally, if we're going less than 580 on an FHA loan, you need a larger down payment, at least 10%, but it's doable. That's the thing that people need to understand. You don't have to have a perfect credit. Or even if there's something that's happened in your credit history, if you've had a bankruptcy before, that doesn't mean that, hey, I'm marred for the rest of my life with a scarlet A and I won't be ever able to purchase a house. That's just not true. Minimum FICO for an FHA loan will be 580. For a conventional loan, it's going to be 620. And for our veterans, technically there isn't a FICO score. But we do need some compensating factors if your FICO score is less than 580, right? We need some good assets or, you're making a healthy living with the income. So ultimately, I want to debunk the fact that you do not need perfect credit in order to qualify for a house. So I hope you guys can relay that information to somebody that needs to hear it. If they're in the market to buy or they're feeling discouraged about the market, you don't need 20% and you don't need perfect credit to qualify. And I think people also think is that the process is too complicated. And I think that really tends to lean on the set of professionals that you opt to help you within that process. So yes, this process can be very complicated. Yes, this process can, be kind of a yes and a no and very black and white. There is very little grounds for a gray area, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that's kind of something that I enjoy doing. I can say, unfortunately or fortunately, I like making super complicated things easy. Like when you tell me, oh, that was easier than I thought, I'm like, oh, wow, that was a job well done for me. Because I know that all the nuances of mortgages, of the loan process, not everything you need to needs to be communicated in the process. I need you to know the basic things. These are the important bullet points in order for you to feel empowered when you're out there shopping for a home and also empowered once you're in contract. So the process isn't overly complicated, but it does really lean on who you decide to move forward with when it comes to the professionals in the mortgage industry and also in real estate. So Greg Deville, like I said, he's been doing this for 20 plus years. He's seen all of the good, the bad, right, in the industry, the crashes and being able to rebound from that. So both him and I can advise you and give you some solace in the marketplace and what to do next. So it doesn't have to be a complicated process. So next, I'd love to talk about just some homeownership trends in the United States and Nevada. So I thought this was kind of interesting. Just some statistics here. I was having a hard time saying that word. Some stats here. Just some stats here that I thought were interesting, and I'd like to share that with you. So home ownership, Americans that own a home in America as of 2023, that's 65.9%. That's over 50%. That's actually really, really great. 65.9% of Americans own a home, right? First-time home buyers actually make up 24% of all home buyers, right? So in 2024, 24% were first-time home buyers. And that's actually down. That first-time home buyers entering into the marketplace in 2024, that number is lower, right, than in 2023. 2023, it was 32% of first-time home buyers that entered the marketplace. What's shifting? What's changing? Why is buyer confidence all of a sudden down for our first-time home buyers? That's something that I want to explore a little bit more in our next subset. And also in America, 60% of home buyers are actually married couples. Isn't that amazing? So they're joining forces. They say, hey, we're building a family, and it's going to be time for us to get a home for our family. Instead of having to move every single year or have to worry about rents increasing every single year, we want some stability for our household. So in Nevada specifically, I like the statistic, right? Nevada residents that actually own a property, it's 61.2%. That's amazing. Myself, Greg Deville, we're all part of that. I love that. And then in home ownership, by demographic, in Nevada, I wanted to go through this because I thought this was kind of interesting as well. So white Americans in Nevada, 66.6% of them own property. African Americans, Black Americans, 28.8% of us own property. Hispanics, Hispanic Americans, 48.1% own property. And Asians and other, 60.5% own property. So that's all in Nevada, and I am a minority, as everybody knows, right? And when I see that figure at how low Black homeownership is, it just allows me to see that there is still going to be room for us to inform so many people here and just in Nevada in our local marketplace that might not know or be misinformed about the buying process. And that's also why Greg and I, we do what we do. We want to be able to inform the public that you don't need a 20% down payment. You don't need perfect credit. We are getting people into houses that don't have all of those. They don't check all the boxes. And even if you don't, and you're like, hey, I want to be in a position to purchase a home in about 2 years, why not start planning now, right? Reach out to us. We'll get a mortgage plan set up with you. If you want a hard credit check, let's do it. Let's run all the engines on the back end. Let's create a savings plan for you. Let's look at your budget. These are going to be important conversations to start having within the community. So that way we can also get into generational wealth, right? And being able to leverage the equity in our property to then purchase something else. So if you're interested in a mortgage plan or getting my home buyer packet, just text me 725-307-5454. Give me your first, last name, email, 725-307-5454, 725-307-5454. Let's really tackle and hone in on what it's going to take in order for you to purchase a house. Even if it's not right now, don't feel like you're wasting our time. We want to hear from you. And we want to hear from you as well as how you like the show. We want feedback and say, hey, these are some of the things that I'm encountering just in my day-to-day, in my community, in my sphere of influence that I think that should be brought or given more awareness to. We want to be able to be that voice for the community as well. So if you guys find any of this valuable, please let me know in the comments. Give me questions. At the end, I'm going to just field some common home buyer questions that I'm encountering as well. So my next segment is why millennials aren't buying houses. I'm part of this the millennial generation as well. So I've been seeing a lot of different things, right? My millennial friends, some of them have student loan debt. And they feel because I have student loan debt, I can't purchase a house. I have way too much debt. I have my master's degree, I have my bachelor's degree, and I had to take out student loans in order for me to do the degree, to get the degree in order to do the occupation that I wanted. That's okay. Student loan debt is not an end-all, be-all. You're not wearing a scarlet letter again. That's okay. So if your student loans are in deferment, you're not making any payments until the next 20 or 30 years, they're technically in deferment and you don't have to pay them. But as a mortgage lender, what's going to happen? We want to be able to assess your affordability when it comes to your mortgage. So eventually, down the road, sometime in the future, you are going to make payments on those student loans. So we have to factor in a small percentage of that student loan debt as part of your debt to income ratio, right? So generally that percentage, that's going to range from 0.5% to 1%, depending on the loan program. But student loans are not the end all be all curse to say, I can never purchase a house. Absolutely not. I want to debunk that. So if you guys have student loan debt, come talk to me first. Let's have a conversation together so that way we can really determine and hone in what's going to be my buying power, even though I have these student loans. That's not the end all. So that's one huge major concern with millennials right now. and also I noticed that delayed life milestones. So myself included, we're getting married later, right? We're halting on starting families. We're looking more for career opportunities and moving into other segments of the United States in order for that. So, and that's okay. You can do homeownership by yourself. I have myself. I know a lot of people, like my friends included, they want to wait until I have my husband and my kid and then I'll buy a house. But that doesn't mean that you have to wait in order to start building equity for yourself, right? Yes, you want a family down the road. That's great. But why not start building generational wealth right now? It doesn't make sense to wait and then, one or two things, maybe interest rates are a little bit high or purchase prices kind of go up. It might not be prime time later on. So you might as well, I think home prices right now, we're increasing between 3 and 5% every single year in appreciation. So that's just equity that you can just capture in on. So those are some of the reasons that millennials aren't really purchasing a house or entering into the marketplace. And I'd like to talk to you guys about it. If you guys have any points or any reasons that you're delaying, reach out to me. I want to be more, and I am being more involved in the community. And I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? So just text me 725-307-5454. If you want more insight, more details about the process, I'm here for you. I am definitely here for you. We got 25 more minutes on the show, you guys. So let's keep rocking and rolling. Okay. So these are going to be some common questions that I've encountered from home buyers, right? If there's anything that you guys specifically have in mind, top of mind, just let me know. Put it in the comments. I'd love to answer those for you as well. But one of the common questions, and we kind of addressed this earlier on, was how much do I need for a down payment? So a lot of people, as we addressed, they think they need the 20% for the down payment. That's just not right. And in a lot of instances, we can even use down payment assistance, right? To where you repay back the down payment assistance or it's completely forgivable. The down payment assistance, the money that the lender gives to you, just keep in mind that if you accept monies through down payment assistance, the interest rate is going to be a little higher than the everyday market. So it's a trade-off, right? I need additional monies in order for me to get across the bridge to home ownership, but my payments is going to be a little bit higher. So we can look at both options when we're looking at down payment assistance and when we're not. Does it still make sense? Am I going to come up with additional assets? Could I get a gift? Can we draw out a loan for my 401k or stock portfolio? Then we can start getting kind of creative and having that conversation together. So how much do I need for down payment? 3 to 5%. And for our veterans, there's no down payment commitment. So I want to debunk, that's going to be my whole thing for 2025 is to debunk the fact that we need a 20% down payment. It's just not true. What credit score do I need in order for me to qualify? This is really good because, again, a lot of people think that if I've gone through something derogatory on my credit, that's the end-all, be-all for me. I'm not going to be able to ever recuperate and purchase a house, and that's not true. So let's go through some of the programs here. So this is just brief, and this is going to be very general. There are going to be some exceptions to the rules, but for our conventional loans, generally we're looking at a FICO with at least a 620. Hey, Kirsty, I'm just shouting out Kirsty on my live here. Thanks for tuning in. So generally on a conventional loan, we're looking for at least a 620, okay? 620 for our conventional loans. The thing with a conventional loan is what's really advantageous for the buyer is that if you do have a higher FICO score, rate's going to be a little more favorable on a conventional loan. And if you're putting less than 20% down payment on a conventional loan, the mortgage insurance is also going to be less if your FICO scores are higher. Okay. So generally conventional loans, depending if it makes sense, we want to see a higher FICO for those types of loans unless, your loan amount is above the FHA limit. So conventional minimum is going to be a 620. For FHA loans, I want to see at least a 580. 580 that gets you in the door with at least a 3.5% down payment. We can do lower if we have a 10% down payment. So again, like I mentioned earlier, I've qualified a home buyer on an FHA loan with at least a 560, and he was eligible for a loan. But he had to come up out of pocket, right? 10% down payment. So for our VAs and VA loans, we don't technically need a FICO, So that's always good. I say that as in a whisper, just because a lot of times it is going to, we're going to need some additional compensating factors, right? Maybe a little more assets, maybe debt to income ratio is a little bit lower. So we have to look at those on a case by case. But technically for our veterans, you have no down payment, no mortgage insurance, and FICO. We can get a little creative with the FICO. So if you guys have any questions on this, reach out to me. I want to hear from you at 725-307-5454. I think these conversations we need to have more in the community. Honestly, for me, growing up, my parents didn't talk to me much about money. So what I did in order to save is I would get my money from my parents or my grandparents, and I would actually hide it. I'd hide it in my mattress, or I'd hide it in the curtains on the window. And that was basically my savings. Like, I didn't know anything about interest, about mortgages. So I've come a long way, obviously. And shout out to my mom and dad. They did everything they could. But we need to start having more conversations like this, whether it's in schools or just tuning in here live, just because so many people are just so underinformed about the process. So that's why we do what we do. That's why Greg Deville, he's opened up this platform in order to do that. So that way we can continue the push and keeping the community informed about the process. Even if you don't use us, we want you to use us, right? This is the information that we're giving out. But even if you don't use us, leverage it, ask questions, debunk some of the things that you are also hearing out there in your spaces. So another common question is, should I get pre-approved before house hunting? I know the fun part is the house hunting. Trust me, I know, I've been there. But we just want to make sure that when you find your perfect house, that everything on the back end, all the not so fun part, the loan, the credit, the income, all that still makes sense for us, okay? That's going to be very imperative. So don't put the cart before the horse. Let's do your due diligence up front, and let's get you pre-approved before you start house hunting. It's going to make all the difference in the process. And if you want to close ASAP, you don't want any road bumps within the process, this is how you do it. Listen to the professionals. I know everybody wants to skip the hard part. Nobody wants to go to the gym and lift heavy stuff, but it's for your benefit long term. So another common question, it's what's included in my monthly mortgage payment? So your mortgage payment, it consists of your principal, your interest, right? Principal and interest never changes, right? As long as you have a fixed mortgage, principal and interest would never change. Then your property taxes, insurance, and sometimes, depending on the loan, FHA conventional and down payments, will have mortgage insurance. On a VA loan, there's no mortgage insurance. So shout out to our veterans. You get a lower payment. But that's what's going to consist of on a mortgage payment. So a lot of times I've had homers reach out to me and say, hey, Kristina, my mortgage actually went up. What's the deal with that? I thought I had a fixed mortgage. And yes, you did. Principal and interest, again, will never change. But what changes is going to be your taxes. That's going to be assessed annually. And also your homeowner's insurance. Every time that you renew, if the premium had gone up, then they communicate that information over to the lender. Then that can dictate a higher mortgage payment, right? So property taxes and insurance, that could potentially increase them. And how long? So another common question is, how long does the buying process actually take? So when we sit down together, I can run credit. We can go over some scenarios. You send me your documents right away. I can do all that within a day. It just depends on how fast you want to move. So once we do the application, if you send me documentation right away, then I can issue that letter same day. If it takes you a little bit longer, right, then we have to wait in order to verify everything that we did in the application, as we discussed earlier, now on paper, okay? But typically, the process from start to finish, we're looking like 30 to 45 days, right? That's in order to do the financing from the moment that we actually accept contract, and you're able to get your keys, it's about 30 to 45 days. We've closed in 10 days before, we've closed in 15 days before, but the buyer has to be super, super engaged, and we are rushing to the finish line. So like I said, doing the due diligence up front, that makes all the difference in really honing in on those closing dates. If we're looking at typical dates, 30 to 45 days. Another common question, and we kind of discussed this already, is just, can I buy a house with student loan debt? Yes, you can. Even if the debt's in deferment, even if you're currently making payments, that's okay. We do have to factor in a portion of your student loan debt as part of your debt to income ratio between 0.5% to 1% of your overall big balance. So that's something to consider. Or if you already are on an income-based repayment plan with the student loan company or financial institution, that's okay too. We're going to see that on credit, and we're just going to wrap that into your debt to income ratio. There wouldn't be any problems there. So here are some of my closing thoughts. So I always like to engage with my home buyers and really ask them, what's going to be your reason to buy? Why are you buying this house? What about this house is perfect for you? And, just start to get them imagining themselves in this property, because that keeps everybody super engaged as to, hey, I want to hone in on my why. Do I want to get my family out of the current situation that they're in order to live in my forever home? Or is this my starter home and I cannot wait in order for this home to appreciate so much, and then I can leverage that equity in order to buy the next house? Whatever your why is, I want to be part of that process with you. I'm going to just kind of share something with you here, just based on generation. On average, home buyers that are under 58, they desire just to purchase a house. They want to have home ownership. If you're under 58, your main reason for buying is that I want to be a part of the American dream and gain and tap into home ownership and build a generational wealth. And that's an amazing reason. Those home buyers that are 58 and older, their top reason is to be closer to family, friends, and or they want to downsize. So I've encountered both of those reasons before with my home buyers from all different ages in the spectrum. And I can say this is pretty factual, that and or, hey, my family's growing. I love to always look at numbers. So that's just me and part of the industry that I'm in. I like to look at the cost of renting, okay? Because renting, you can't build any appreciation. We all know that, right? Once you're sending, let's say, here in Nevada, it's between $1,700 and $2,000 for your average rents, right? So every single month that you are giving that check to your landlord, you're not building any appreciation. They're not putting in a secret account for you, so that way at the end of 30 years, hey, you get to gain all that interest that doesn't exist. They are reaping all the benefits because you're going to be occupying their house for a designated period. There was one veteran, I'm not going to shout him out, but one veteran, he was renting for 10 years at the same property. That landlord was, I'm sure, in tears when they realized that he was purchasing a house. And now he wanted to, gain in on the benefits of home ownership. So I'm going to bring up some numbers here. So let's say you're here in Nevada, like I said, average rent between $1,700, $2,000. So over 5 years, if your rent is $2,000, you've spent $120,000, right? 5 years, $120,000 has gone right into your landlord's pocket. What could I possibly do with $120,000? I have a few good answers for that, right? You can go on vacation, you can go pay your college tuition, you can go get your kids into that charter school. $120,000 over 5 years, $2,000 a month in rent. Over 10 years, $2,000 in rent, you've invested $240,000 into your landlord's pocket. 15 years, $360,000. 20 years, $480,000. Over 30 years, you'd be at $720,000 that your landlord has benefited from you. And at the end of 30 years, there is no investment. There's no golden egg. You don't even get like a pat on the back or, a trophy. So it's going to be imperative for us to start thinking long-term, right? I know everybody's in, we only live once. You got to live for the moment. But let's start thinking, it's our future planning, right? Future planning, what is that going to look for me? What type of house do I want? What type of family do I want, right? Or what type of role model do I want to be for my kids, right? Do I want to be financially fit? This is all part of the things that we're thinking about in 2025, especially I know January is kind of coming to a close, but this should be part of your New Year's resolution or just your lifestyle about thinking about how we can become financially stable and looking at purchasing a house because long-term, it builds the wealth for us. So I am wrapping up here, but again, I want you guys to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions you had about the show, any feedback, we would love information from you, any topics that you want to hear maybe next time. We are all about the community. So whatever you guys can let us know with things that are concerning you about the buying process or things that you just want to hear more of, I would love it. Or even if you guys have specific events or anything that you'd like for us to host, we would love to do a class with your employer and or the school. We just want to be out there in the community, and that's part of our mission for 2025, just empowering everybody and bringing awareness to homeownership, to real estate. So again, the phone number is 725-307-5454, 725-307-5454. Greg Deville has been gracious enough to allow me to take over his channel for the day. So thank you so much, Greg. And I know he will be back next week. He'll be a regular host and show. But thank you so much, Greg, for allowing me on your platform. So again, you guys, reach out. If you guys want the home buyer education packet, it's 725-307-5454. First and last name and email. I'd be happy to send it over to you guys. Thank you so much. It's been great. It's Kristina Graham, and tune in out.
Yeah. Jones, hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.